Today is Thursday, May the 8th. I hope you're having a great day as you're just diving in to taking next steps in following Jesus. This past weekend, we had the opportunity to really dive into the life of a guy named Simon, a lady that we really have no idea her name. It's not mentioned in the Bible what her name was, but she had descriptive that she was stuck in a life of sin and Jesus, and how their worlds collided around a dinner table. I said this weekly, but it's just really true. It's been really fun to dive in differently to the life of Jesus and to go through dinner conversations that he's having with people. So one of the questions that we asked you all to think through, and I'd love to wrestle with you, is how does pride keep us from seeing Jesus's value? Adam, how do you think that plays out and looks?
Well, because pride is, I heard somebody say once that pride is the root of sin, like the root of all sin. And all of it that we go into it comes from a place of I want it, I deserve it, I should have it, I'm better than they are, why am I not the one getting the praise? And so it's the root of all things. So when it comes to Jesus, I think pride keeps us from seeing him because it focuses us on ourselves so much. We get laser focused onto what I want, what I get, what I can have, what you can have, that we forget that we actually live as citizens submitted to a king who wants what he wants.
So I guess a good follow-up question that would be, Adam, like, if we're wrestling through pride and we're recognizing that we're diminishing Jesus's value, we're diminishing his worth because we're finally recognizing that we're seeing that we're very prideful in our pursuit of Jesus, in our pursuit of his kingdom, and in pursuit of things that we're trying to make it me-centric and focused on me and what I want and what I value. How do I get out of that? Like, how do I change? Because I think it's one thing to acknowledge that I'm prideful. It's another thing to take a next step. And so, like, what is a way that I can tangibly, or they can tangibly, start trying to get out of this place of pride that they've dug themselves into?
Well, I think probably we need to define the question you're asking about how does pride blind us to Jesus' worth. First of all, I don't believe, and I think you agree with me on this. If you don't, this is awkward in a second. But we actually, my pride, your pride, we actually cannot lower the worth of Jesus. We can lower our evaluation of it or our view of it. That's what you mean, right?
Yes.
And so really we're talking about not how can we increase who Jesus is, but we're trying to how we can increase the way we see him and our estimation of who he is. Right? And so in that, I think it comes back to an act of submission and surrender above all else. If my issue is that I'm seeing who I am and what I want, or a skewed view that the enemy has fed to me, so much that I'm not seeing Jesus, and the goal is to keep my eyes fixed on him, to keep my eyes focused on Jesus, then the solution, I think, is to go to the Word and maybe just begin to read just who Jesus is. It would be an interesting, I'll confess I'm not done this, but it would be an interesting read through the New Testament, the Gospels at least, maybe the book of Psalms in there, just to read through and keep a little journal log, make little notes of who Jesus, God, the three in one Trinity, who he says that he is. And by doing that, we might actually compile a list that then allows us to see everything that I'm not, that I was made to imitate and to reflect the glory of, right?
That's awesome. Those are great next steps. So go back to the beginning, right?
Yeah.
They're beginning steps. So I think sometimes we get so focused on outside voices or self-help things or finding our value and our worth and our knowledge in other places that we forget to start where we're supposed to start, which is Jesus and his word. The second thing is I don't want to answer this. I want you to answer this because I talked a lot about this on Sunday or over the weekend. I talked a lot about not judging other people's worship. And so why is that important, do you think?
Well, when you say judge other people's worship, define for us all what you mean by that. Yeah. Like what would it look like to judge someone else's worship?
Well, there's the tangible, like because I think in our day and age, when we think of worship, we kind of think of how we present ourselves before God, right? Okay. And I don't mean just I mean more than just the music we sing
Yes.
and how we present ourselves, but I don't think we all see it that way all the time, right? So, but we can start with, and which is the reason why I said it this way on the weekend, is you can start with walking in and seeing how people are throwing themselves at the mercy of God. Like, man, maybe they're standing, maybe they're clapping to everything, maybe they're bowing their heads, maybe they're crying. Some people sit and worship by reading what's on the screens. I have some friends in our church that they do that. That's how they worship. But we should not judge people by how, well, when I worship, I do this. But worship is beyond that. I want to phrase it this way, and I hope this is a deeper conversation for you too at home. Worship is literally offering yourself to God, all of yourself to God, and every facet of your life, and giving yourself to Him. So worship doesn't look like just how you react to God through singing, but react to God through serving, reacting to God through reading His Word. It's all those things. It's your posture before God.
Yeah, and that's what I want you to say there, because it is more than just the singing, right? But when we hear worship, we think of that in our context, our culture, and all that. So, how could we judge other people's worship, or how can we get away from that? The truth is, we're all unique. We're just different people, right? And we come from unique cultural backgrounds, family of origin backgrounds, unique education things, and heritage. All these things are different, and we come from different personalities, and we enter into God's presence together, but unique. And when we do that, some people are just different than you, and that's great. That's the diversity that is the kingdom of heaven, right? That's God has made this beautiful tapestry of people, and that's what that is. But when we come in, I occasionally, and I'm just going to tell a couple stories. I occasionally hear people talk about how, they don't, sometimes, people worship and they're too emotional in their worship for me. And I'm like, well, but they're unique from you too. Other people are too stoic in their worship. Well, they're unique from you. Others worship through writing and journaling. I don't do that, or I do that, but why don't they do that? And they're unique from you. We're all different in how we express our praise of who God is, our pursuit of who Jesus is, and then our way of living it out. Is it okay to be emotional worship? Absolutely. Do you have to be? Not at all. Is it okay to be whatever it is? When you read through the Bible, you begin to see David, King David, in the Old Testament. He wrote a lot of the Psalms out. He wrote songs of praise and poems of praise. Right?
He was a very emotional guy.
He was a very emotional guy. He was also a king who led warriors into battle, and he slayed lions and giants and bears, oh my, and all those things. He was unique from that.
Yeah.
When you view, Paul, he laid his life on the line for things, and that was acts of worship for him to walk in and do all these things. You read through the Bible and you see, again, maybe a neat way to read the Bible once would be to read it for different ways people worshipped in their lifestyle, because we'll see just this incredible diversity of ways to do so. And that's why we have to be careful when we come into a gathering and we walk out saying, the lyrics of that song are good, but I just don't like singing it. I don't like that melody. We can't say that. Or when we come in and say, I like these generation of songs, but I don't like that new stuff, the jiving and all this, whatever. That we don't say those things, because everybody's unique, and we're helping a unique, diverse people worship the same God, the same creator of all of us, right? We're called to give our lives to Him, and those are lives of worship. Work as though you're working for the Lord. That's a worshipful thing, right? Some of us are better with our hands, some better with our minds, with our words. But what we need to do is to recognize that when we critique or when we compare the way someone else worships to the way that I like to, what we're doing is letting our pride take over, and we're blinding ourselves to who Jesus is.
Yeah. The last thing I would like to just ask you today, just to share from you, you didn't get an opportunity to join your wife. You normally go live on Monday nights just to kind of talk about your view of the sermon. And there's oikos that happened over the last weekend. Like, what is just something that you maybe this weekend that God spoke to you, or that you wanted to talk about but just haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
Oh, you didn't warn me on this question. I had a great weekend. I didn't get to preach this weekend, and I said. Some people say that I have to preach. I didn't get to preach. I love preaching, right? You did, and I had to listen to you, and I had a great time just hearing you because you said a lot of the same things that I would have said, but you said them through your personality, different than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that God has partnered us together, and that we can be different in those things. I got together with my oikos on Sunday night, and we had a smaller group than usual. We had a couple of family things were going on within our oikos, and some people were gone to those, and we had a smaller group than usual, but we got to sit around, eat some great food. It was Mexican food night.
Nice.
Got to eat some great food, and then just to talk about the way to worship, we come to Jesus. One thing we've started doing in our oikos that I really enjoy is we've started a practice of when it comes time to open the Word of God, which we do every time we gather. We read a passage of the same passage of Scripture, but in 3 different English versions or translations. And one is more like exacting and a little hard to understand. One is one like we would use in church here every weekend, and then one's more of a paraphrase where it's a little easier to understand, but it's maybe not the most accurate with words. And we read in 3 different versions, and then just ask the group, the family that's there, like, what are some questions you have, and what are observations? And what I've discovered, and this past weekend was really good, is that by doing that, no one's preparing a lesson or a teaching, but we're learning together in that and taking steps together, and it's been really good for us.
And that's a cool way to live out that passage that we were just reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of humility.
Yeah.
And because if you're doing that, then there's no pride in that because you all are learning together. Yeah. It's not one domineering personality. It's the tapestry that you talked about of God's family.
Yeah. And then at the end we say, if you were going to suggest for somebody here or for yourself, what's a next step you could take out of what we talked about tonight? And people start to suggest them. And it's really cool because people in the room are like, oh yeah, I could do that. I didn't think of it, but I could do that. Others are like, that makes no sense. But it works for somebody because our worship is unique to us.
Yeah.
And it's been a great thing for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing about that. Before we wrap up, we're entering into another weekend of Dinner with Jesus. You're back to preaching.
Oh, boy.
I'm excited for that. And I would just love for you to give a glimpse of where we're going.
Well, we have 3 weeks left. 3 weeks left in our Dinner with Jesus series. We're going to spend some time talking about the way God declares things clean or unclean and all this. We're going to spend time with another meal that's there. And then we'll spend time the very last weekend talking about how the gathering of the church happens. And there's meals involved in there too. Can I give a sneak peek to the end?
Absolutely.
Right. So I guess I have to since I told everybody I was going to.
No, you can't.
The last weekend, not this one, not the one after 3 weekends from now. The last weekend at North Heights on Saturday night and in Carlton Sunday mornings, we're going to finish our Dinner with Jesus series with a meal. And not everybody has to be there. You can choose to be there or not, but it's a meal that we'll have. So on Saturday night, North Heights there, as we're wrapping up the last message of the series, we're going to have someone, it's just be hot dogs and chips and waters, but it's springtime. It'll be Memorial Day weekend. It'll be the perfect weekend for it. And we'll just hang out and eat a meal together and have fun for a while. No agenda but to be together in a meal, dinner with people of Jesus.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, at the end of our 11 o'clock gathering, the last one of the day, when that one concludes, we're going to have the same thing. People grilling some hot dogs, some chips, and water and stuff right outside the building, picnic style thing. Stay as long as you want, hang out for a while with the family. And it'll be great just to spend time as the church around a dinner with Jesus in the middle.
Yeah. So church, I hope you're taking next steps and following him. But as always, until we see each other again, you are sent. Have a great day.